This video is on the Colorado government and child trafficking. There was recently a situation that I was learning about where, now I should say first that it's a gay couple that adopted this child. I'm not against that. I think it's perfectly fine for a lesbian couple or a gay couple to raise a child together. I think it's perfectly fine for them to adopt a child. What I'm against is the situation in specific. A blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl under the age of 6. You guys are going to be familiar with stories like this. It's Colorado. Although this is actually a trend nationwide. Colorado, Boulder especially, is real heavy into this. They took this child from a family that loved her. And a family that was trying hard to be a family. But the Colorado government decided that this little girl's parents were unfit because they didn't make enough money. They didn't make enough money to be decent parents. Ew. So this gay couple in Denver bought this child. By bought, I mean they paid cash for a baby. This couple in Denver paid cash money to the Colorado government to purchase a poor person's child, a poor couple's child. There was another couple, and these ones also happened to be gay, but that's also not the point. Again, I am not against homosexuals raising children. I've known a few grown adults that were raised by gay couples, and they turned out just fine. But this family was adopting a lot of foster children. A lot of them, like 14 of them. And they get a lot of money for having these children. I mean, their profit margin for having these children is more than most people in America earn in 3 or 4 years. We're talking about $114,000 per year. But one of those children died. And what's the debate about that? It's that it doesn't matter if you're gay. Being gay doesn't make you better at raising children. It doesn't make you better equipped to raise more children. There comes a point where it's no longer adopting children because you want someone to love. It's a point where these children are now a commodity. They're a way for you to make money, just like the homeless and the prison system. The largest cross-section of the prison system isn't minorities. It's former foster children. Now these couples, whether they're gay or straight or whatever title you want to go by, I just don't give a shit. You can call yourself whatever you want. You can call yourself the Purple Elephants for all I care. Adoption for profit is wrong. Taking children from a loving family for profit is wrong. The fact is, without government victimization, the whole system falls apart. If Child Protective Services does not steal people's children, they won't have enough finances to continue to function. Where's that money going? Where's the money that used to go there? Where's the money that should have gone there before 1997? Oh yeah, it's all going to the prisons. So that when these children age out, then they can end up going to jail for being homeless, for not having an ID or a birth certificate or a social security card or the ability to drive, or really even what the real world is actually like. The prisons, they need more money, more money, more money. They have to create a need for that money so they can get the American taxpayers to keep forking over those dollars to the American government, who divvies those American dollars out to whoever needs it the most. So police departments across America create that need so that they can get that money next year. If you don't spend it this year, they'll give you less money next year. So we have to create a need so we can get more money every year. Exponential tax dollars. The American public pays more money each year so that these law enforcement agencies can victimize poor people. So that they can literally victimize the most victimized people in America. And who are they? Is that immigrants? No. Is it women? No. Is it men? No. Is it minorities? No. It's foster children. Foster children are the #1 victimized people in America. And do you know why? Because they're victimized in the system for them tax dollars. For that free money that isn't free. That's poor people paying those taxes. Donald Trump isn't paying that. You are. You're paying taxes for them to steal your children. And when your children turn 18 and age out and go out into the streets, they're victimized again and again and again by law enforcement. The same law enforcement officer who came to your house when you, as a single mother, or weren't a single mother, but you got beaten by your husband, or he touched one of your children inappropriately, and that officer comes to your door and he seems like the sweetest thing on earth. This is your hero, this man with a badge. But now you're one paycheck down. You did have 2 paychecks coming in, now you only have 1. And you got a mortgage that's more than your paycheck. It's not a choice between your house and food or your house and gas. You can't afford the house either way. You don't make enough in a month. If you spent every single penny that you earned in a month on that house, you don't get to keep it. So you end up homeless and your child ends up in the system. And that very officer who was so kind to you before, he doesn't really even recognize you. And if he does, he's still going to treat you like shit because you're homeless now. You must be a junkie or an alcoholic. You're there because you chose it. No, you didn't choose homelessness. You chose to turn in your predator. And now you don't have a safe place to go and you're being hunted by the police. Same as the rest of the homeless folks who chose it. And you get to realize that most of the homeless people were in foster care growing up. And then you go to the jail on trumped up charges because it's illegal to be homeless. And if it's something that you're not breaking the law on, well, they'll just twist it, manipulate it, contort it, whatever it takes, so they get them tax dollars next year. Then here's another scenario. You are that child. You're at your real parents' house or a foster family, it don't matter. And you try to go to the police and tell them what's going on. And they give you a choice. You can either go back in there with your parents, or we can take you to the county lockup. Oftentimes, those officers say things that you wouldn't expect an officer to say to a child who's been abused. Officers say things like, if you were my kid, I'd put you over my knee. Excuse me, this child has been abused, and now you are telling them that you would be physically violent with them. That's not acceptable. The cops are not the good guys. The police are enemies of the people. The state is not run by the people. They pretend to allow you your vote so that you go along with it, but your vote doesn't matter. They're going to do whatever they want regardless of your vote, and they have shown that time and again with situations like fracking, adoption, homeless rights, basic human rights. The most victimized people in America are the American homeless. The American homeless comprise less than 2% of the population, or around 4% of the population if you consider couch surfers, or people living in basements, basically. The important thing about that number, the African American population of the United States is between 10 and 11%. Depending on where you go, it could be higher and it could be lower. Here in Chapel, Nebraska, it's sitting at 0% right now. Well, there might be a black family in town now. I don't know. I haven't seen any. But what's the point of that? The point is that according to Darren O'Connor, which some of you are familiar with, he crunched the numbers. The black population of Boulder is incarcerated at a 5-to-1 ratio over their white counterparts. The homeless are incarcerated at a 346-to-1 ratio over their housed counterparts. Homeless people are easy money. They're easy to victimize. They're easy to roll over and run over. They don't have the facilities to defend themselves. They don't have the money for a real lawyer. And public pretenders across the United States outright refuse to actually defend homeless people. Across the United States. If you've ever seen how the police treat a homeless person compared to how they treat somebody in a house, you know what I'm talking about. Now then there's a situation where, the police officer sees a homeless person, but he also sees some people that he considers liberal nearby. So they pull a tactic, this tactic they used on me and several other people. It's called pain compliance. What they do is they fake an assault. They slam you down. They try to shove your arm so far up your back, like they did to Michelle Rodriguez, that you think it's going to break. You are in excruciating pain. You are trying not to fight back, but your natural reaction is fight or flight, and you cannot flight. So you are fighting your body's natural reactions. Meanwhile, because the officer is shoving your arm so far up your back that you have to move, and they say, stop resisting, stop resisting. That's so that they can implant in the minds of people who are onlooking that you are resisting when you're not. In reality, you're being forced into excruciating pain. Oftentimes for crimes that don't actually exist. You have no idea how many homeless people have gotten in trouble for using public outlets. Excuse me, but the public pays for that electricity. They got away with that for like 16 years. 16 years worth of revenue for a law that doesn't exist. But who do they use this against? Just the homeless. How about the smoking laws in Boulder? That's to curb homelessness. It doesn't curb homelessness as far as making there be less homeless people, but it makes it so that homeless people who are in areas where there are large groups of shoppers, it gives the police an excuse to harass them, to harm them, because people don't want to see things that aren't pretty. And homelessness is not pretty. I have literally seen the police stand there and watch a whole bunch of people smoke cigarettes in the alley behind Cheesecake Factory and the pedestrian shop. Just stand there, arms crossed, and wait for a homeless person to light up. They will watch all of these people smoke cigarettes, people who work at the Cheesecake Factory, people who are taking their kids to the mall. It's illegal for everyone, but they're only enforcing it on the homeless. That's not to say that there aren't other people that have gotten tickets for it. It's to say that the law was specifically made so that they can harm homeless people. And the majority of the homeless people are what? Former foster kids. It's all about the money. You as a human being do not matter to the police. You as a human being do not matter to the courts. You as a human being do not matter to the public pretender's office. And you as a human being don't matter to the American public because of slander by the media. When it's a homeless person, the media will only take one side. They will only look at one side. They have done that historically throughout Boulder, throughout Denver. And they probably do it in a lot of other places too. I've read many articles in the Colorado Daily that are anti-homeless because it's a crime. They only take the police side. They only take the police statement. And the police are outright liars. You cannot be a police officer unless you are a liar. That is a fact. Every single police officer who is involved with taking me to an institution or hospital or jail outright lied to me. Falsified evidence, falsified statements in order to manipulate me. Every single one. You cannot be a cop unless you are a habitual liar. And when you go through your police training, they don't teach you how to save lives. They don't teach you how to protect anything but rich people's money. They don't teach you to serve anything except for the rich people. This has gone on long enough. I declared war on the United States way back at the beginning of the year. I'm fighting this war without killing. I'm fighting this war for us.